What's up, y'all? This is Alex from the Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in-depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way you watch basketball. In this series, we're going to be covering every single prospect in the upcoming NBA draft. In today's episode, we're going to cover the NCAA tournament standout center, Donovan Clingan. When looking at Clingan's game offensively, a few strengths stand out. The first of which is his ability to duck in and rim run in transition. That's a big reason why he averaged 1.39 points per possession in transition. While Clingan is not the fastest or the best athlete, he plays hard and he uses his size to get in great positioning to get an easy layup in transition. Secondly, Clingan does a great job hunting post-ups. He's frequently looking for the ball in the post and is making the necessary moves to have the best passing angle to get an easy bucket. That's why in post-up situations, Clingan averages 1.17 points per possession. Finally, he's a very strong pick and roll screener, which is where he averaged 1.31 points per possession. He's a lob threat, which is also great because of his height, but his physical, hard set screens are really what sets him apart. It's truly awesome to watch Clingan set great screens, whether it be on the wing, baseline, top of the key, wherever Clingan is going to make contact. There are still some pretty significant weaknesses to Donovan Clingan's game offensively. The first of which is his shooting, which is honestly really poor. One thing that is extremely concerning for scouts is the fact that Clingan shoots 59% from the free throw line. That is a almost hack-a-shack level percentage. That's really concerning, and don't even think about Clingan shooting the three. Secondly, Clingan's touch around the rim, especially against defenders who are of equal or greater size, is honestly below average. While he's a really good lob threat and is able to use his size against smaller defenders, when he has to go up against other evenly matched centers, he really struggled to score and his touch was lacking. Finally, Clingan lacks that short roll playmaking ability that really makes a dominant center prospect. I think it's really important, and I think an example of this could be Dereck Lively for the Dallas Mavericks. Dereck Lively did a really good job in this series against the Timberwolves of catching the ball in the short roll, keeping the ball high, and making a great pass to the corner. This was really important because it meant that Minnesota could no longer blitz the ball screens with Luka Doncic or have a hard hedge. Instead, they had to switch these ball screens, which led to Luka having a one-on-one matchup with Rudy Gobert at the end of the game, and we all know how that went. Those are the types of things that people won't think about, but Derek's impact allowed for that to occur. Donovan Clingan does not have that impact, and for someone that many call a top 3 pick, I'd like to see it. Now, let's get into the film and watch Donovan Clingan in transition. On this possession right here, Clingan gets an amazing block and immediately runs the court, which is a really nice play. What I love to see here from Clingan is he's able to get behind Harrison Ingram, and then his length is truly superb and he gets a very simple layup. This play is simple, however, it's just letting you know the impact of Donovan Clingan's massive frame. On this possession, he runs hard again and it leads to a powerful dunk. Right here against Northwestern, Clingan is going to have an early post-up, which is what he loves to do. As you see right here, he gets great positioning, and wow, this Northwestern defender had no chance. On this possession, it's another example of an early post from Donovan Clingan. Clingan does an awesome job here, and as you see, UConn just has 4 guys out, and Clingan just makes a joke of that center. On this possession, it's another early post from Donovan Clingan. Against Georgetown, he gets in with a smaller guard. However, you can tell that he's bothered a little bit by the help side defense collapsing, and just feeling that pressure leads to a weak finish. Now, let's watch him in the pick and roll, and we'll start off with a nice drag screen on this possession where Donovan Clingan is available. And what I love to see here from Clingan is the fact that he continues to look at the ball throughout the roll, which is really good because it allows Tristan Newton to make a really nice late roll pass. On this possession, Donovan Clingan is going to set another drag screen, and look how much contact he makes on the screen right here. Really great. He gets the ball, but once again, this is another example of him just not having the best touch around the rim. It's something he's going to have to improve on. On this possession, Donovan Clingan is once again looking for a post steal. I love seeing him have this screen, and just look at how natural it is for Donovan to immediately go from setting a screen to posting up. You can tell UConn has fully worked on him to get that positioning. However, as we see right here, the touch just needs some work. And that's what I really am conflicted about with Donovan Clingan, because he's so good in so many situations, but he is so bad at finishing at times for a prospect like his. Let's look at another example right here. Clingan is going to set this screen, put Coleman Hawkins in a tough spot, and just look how much movement he has, and he gets an easy dunk. This level of moving, hunting for the post is honestly unmatched with any other prospect in this draft. Right here, Clingan is once again going to go in the post where he lives. He sets this down screen right here, gets the ball, and what I love to see is a nice drop step finish. I hate how he shot the ball away from the basket, but it did look okay. Right here, once again, a great move to get the ball in the post, and here, a really great drop step, but he just doesn't finish. I'd like him to be a little more under control. That may have been a foul, but if he could be a little tougher and finish through contact, that would be great. In this next post possession, Clingan is truly fighting to get the ball. He gets it here, and then gets into his patented over the left shoulder touch shot. This is what every big in the NBA does, and Clingan does it just as well. One thing that I do think that Clingan is going to once again have to work on is being stronger with his finishes. He has a switch right here, yet he just takes a bad shot. Be more aggressive, use the fact that you have at least 6 or 7 inches on this guy, and take another power dribble. Don't pick the ball up just because he swipes, and don't force up that shot. One other thing that Clingan does really well is offensive rebounds. He's a really good just hustle player and crashes the glass. He's so big, it just happens a lot. This possession is another example of this. And look at that just extension and body of Kel'el Ware. This is what you're going to see him do in the pros. Now let's discuss Donovan Clingan defensively. A couple of strengths that stand out for Clingan, the first of which is drop coverage. Clingan is very valuable in drop because of his size and length, and he's very comfortable playing that position, which is awesome because almost all centers, especially in the regular season, will drop in the NBA. Another thing that Clingan does at a very high level is provide help side rim protection. Clingan had 81 blocks last season, which is simply at an elite level, and Clingan always is able to have great instincts to protect the rim. Finally, while he might not always be the most physical in situations offensively with his touch, his post physicality defensively is amazing, and he only gives up 0.492 points per possession. There are still some weaknesses to Clingan's game defensively. The first of which is Donovan Clingan in closeout situations and just his overall mobility. Because Clingan does play such a deep drop, pick and pop bigs are frequently able to pop and get really open looks, and Clingan's footwork is not quick enough to make hard closeouts. Secondly, Donovan Clingan really struggles when it comes to his switchability. It's something that really isn't necessarily part of his game. There are a couple instances of it during last season, but really non-existent. And in this new NBA, for example, look at Rudy Gobert. That style of big will dominate in the regular season, but when the playoffs come, do you really want him on the court? That's a question that Minnesota is still asking themselves today, and it's one that has been asked for probably the past 5 years around these types of centers. Now, let's get into the film and watch Donovan Clingan on the defensive end. Right here, we're going to see Clingan in his really amazing ability at protecting the rim. As Boo Buie gets downhill, Clingan gets one block and follows it up with another. This is honestly just insane. On this possession, Donovan Clingan once again protects the rim. Right here, he switches very quickly and then gets back and says, Boo Buie, that's not happening today. This is just another clip of help side rim protection from Donovan Clingan, Whereas this possession, Clingan is aware and alert as things are happening. And then he's a bit late as this screen occurs right here because Klingan's job is to be able to at least tag, if not catch, this roll man. But Klingan's length is so impressive, he just does this. It's really great to see. This possession is another example of what Donovan Clingan can do. However, it's going to be in drop coverage. As you see right here, Clingan gets an amazing block. But for those of you who don't know, drop coverage is pretty much when you're just not at the level. So if you're a little bit below the level, this is, I would say, a normal drop. You could do a deep drop and be like right here. But if you're just right here, you're able to stay in front of your man, and then when Bowie tries to drive, Clingan's right there and gets an awesome block. On this possession, Donovan Clingan is going to be in drop coverage again against RJ Davis. And what I love to see here is RJ Davis tried to make a move to get Clingan to commit in either direction. However, Clingan doesn't fall for it, recovers, and gets back to block Jalen Washington. This possession is another example of what Donovan Clingan can do defensively, as he's once again in drop coverage. Right here, as Anton Watson gets the pocket pass, Clingan recovers for yet another block. I know these have all been blocks, but I'm trying to give you all a feel of how dominant of a force this man is on the defensive end. Wow, let's just watch that again. That's great. On this possession, Donovan Clingan is giving up drop coverage in the dribble handoff. He ends up kind of being forced to switch because his man got clipped. But what I love to see here is the fact that he remains vertical and doesn't foul in the post. On this possession, it's just another instance of drop coverage because this is what he does. This is what he's going to be known for in the NBA. Tristan Newton gets clipped, but Clingan does an awesome job having active hands. While he can't fully play both, I love how he forces this pass out. The play gets back into it again, and then Clingan has active hands and contests his shot. Just really great basketball. One thing that Clingan does need to improve on, and it's not necessarily an improvement thing, it's just kind of a consequence of this type of drop defense that he plays, is when Clingan is in a deeper drop such as this, it makes it very easy to just do this and hit guys like Kyle Ware, and Clingan's uncomfortable closeout ability allows that to be an easy three. Right here, Clingan is in another drop. He's going to flow into another ball screen right here as Eric Dixon sets a lot of them. Clingan is kind of out of control, and then when he tries to close out, he does a good job, but not a great job. So as we see right here, Clingan's footwork isn't amazing. I don't love that, but I love how he absorbs the contact and gets an awesome block. Okay. This instance is an instance of him in a bad closeout. So right here, he's in drop coverage. And then when he comes out, he just falls for the pump fake and gets lucky that dunk missed. Because if not, it would have been SportsCenter. Right here, Clingan is once again going to switch. This time onto Justin Moore. This drop forced him into a switch, which would be called a veer. But as we see right here, Clingan just looks uncomfortable having to guard a quicker guard. This is not his thing, and he just looks like a cone out there. Right here, it's going to be some driving line defense as Marquette is going to run their delay series with Oso Ighodaro. But what I love here is Clingan just having multiple efforts in being willing to take and accept the contact. Right here, Clingan does not do the best job in driving line as he's not expecting the Anton Watson blow by, and he just, wow, quickly rips through and gets by him. This is going to be another closeout situation for Donovan Clingan, as right here, he doesn't know what to do and just gets completely bumped and pushed out of the way. You can't let Grant Nelson, who's at least 20 pounds, but probably more like less than you can't let him push you out. Right here, Donovan Clingan is once again needing to work on his closeouts as he's overly jumpy and it gives up an easy dunk. Now let's look at Donovan Clingan in the post, which is where he operates offensively and defensively. Right here, Clingan has a great job being physical, active hands, and just good defense. This is another example of him competing against Zach Edey, which is really impressive. Zach Edey is extremely tall and one of the best guards and centers in college basketball. And as you see, Clingan competes. One thing that Donovan Clingan does do a lot is give up step throughs, partially because he is a bit overly jumpy. And as we'll see on this possession, Zach Edey gets him with that move. Edey gets the ball, pump fakes, and wow, that's just too easy if you're going to be a premier elite defender. Overall, Donovan Clingan is an extremely interesting prospect for a variety of reasons. The first of which is the fact that his type of player is a very much dying breed. A lot of people have compared him to players such as Roy Hibbert, and you just don't see those style of bigs around as often. While that is true, Donovan Clingan is really good for that style of big. I think Clingan has a really nice ability to navigate in drop coverage, and Clingan's screen setting abilities are what really sets him apart for me offensively. Finally, Clingan's rim protection is just superb and truly next level, and what has scouts salivating when they watch him. When I think about what Donovan Clingan's career is going to be like in the NBA, the obvious ceiling for him is being like a Rudy Gobert type. I think that could be a defensive player of the year type of player that is a starter and all-star. However, there are always going to be red flags about can you play him in the fourth quarter because of his lack of switchability. What I would say his more realistic outcome is being a really solid fifth starter for a team that is able to protect the rim and be a decent lob threat and just kind of more of a standard pick and roll big in the NBA. His type of post offense is just not one that I necessarily see a team designing their offense around, especially because he's not the best passer out of the post. So it wouldn't make sense for him to get a ton of post specials. And because of that, I think it is more likely that he ends up just being a solid offensive player, but really good defensive player. I think Clingan's floor could be if he doesn't improve his touch around the rim and becomes a really below average offensive player, and then if he just consistently gets exposed in non-drop coverage situations defensively, it could make it become an issue where it is hard to keep him on the floor consistently, and in that world he would be more of an off the bench guy that is going to give you 10 change of pace minutes each game. As far as where I would draft Donovan Clingan, I'm kind of in between like picks 3 and 5. I think he could fall anywhere in that range. I don't think that he's as good as a couple of different prospects in this draft, but I also understand why scouts are so excited about the potential of a 7'2" behemoth like Clingan. Overall, I want to thank all of y'all for watching my videos. It means the world to me, and we'll be back at it tomorrow with another episode of The Rim Review.